So, and I can't see the chat. So just make sure that you're putting your questions into the chat so that we can go through them at the end. So I'm Rose Fuller, the Director of Career Development Services, and we are going to talk about preparing for a virtual career fair. So career fairs are really important. They are not necessarily exactly the same as a virtual career fair. So we're going to talk a little bit about the differences and how to specifically prepare for this one. So let's talk a little bit about why you would attend a career fair. So there's lots of different reasons. Maybe you want to talk to some employers. Maybe you're looking for a job. Maybe you're looking for an internship. Maybe you're a freshman and you're exploring some different companies in the area. Maybe you're a junior and you know you're going to look for something next year and you want to prepare for that this year. Lots of reasons that you could be going to a career fair, but we know the number one reason, right? That's right. We all go for the swag. Yes, the stuff we all get. Well, unfortunately, we can't do that at a virtual. If you can see behind me in my desk, I've got a lot of those little squishy things that I've collected over the years at career fairs. So unfortunately, you're not going to be able to collect those things this year, but we will walk through on how you can really still take something away from this career fair. Okay, so let's talk about what it exactly is. The main thing is it's an online event. So this is really important to understand. Employers and job seekers are still going to come into this virtual environment trying to meet up and connect. And there'll be a lot of different chat rooms and Zoom links or team links or webinar type links that you're going to be able to talk to the employers face to face. And it's going to, you almost have to think about it in terms of the companies are going to be in their own booths like a career fair, but they're just going to be virtual. This is a quick snapshot of what it will look like when you first get into the career fair. Now, this is kind of a generic build out, but what you can see is this will be a list of all of the different companies. And then this is your little profile. So we're going to talk a little bit about building your profile, putting your picture up, making sure that you have all of the correct information and your resume is filled in and it's uploaded. And then you're going to see the things that are coming up. So you're going to be able to walk through and get in line for some of these companies. They're called queues. That's like standing in line. And we're going to show you how to do that. So this is just a quick visual so you can see that. So let's back it up first and talk about the things you need to do to prepare for the career fair, because preparation is the key to success. Number one, you need to have a well-polished resume. You definitely want to save it as a PDF. You want to upload it to your Eagle CareerLink profile. But the way that you can create this resume is we have a whole other workshop that you can watch. It's on our YouTube page and it's on our front page of our career website. At the end of this, I have some pointers that I'll show you how to get there. But you can watch that short webinar and then create your own. We have lots of resources on our webpage. And then you can make a quick appointment with us in the next week or so if you want it reviewed. Second thing is clean up your social media. You want to lock down your privacy settings for all your personal social media, but you want to open up that LinkedIn, make it look a little bit nicer. If you haven't touched it in a while, give it a little bit of love and make it look nicer. If you don't have LinkedIn right now, that's okay. Don't freak out. I like to say zero LinkedIn is better than having a bad LinkedIn page. So you want to keep that in mind. If you have a weak LinkedIn page, don't even bother. Just keep it at zero and we can build that up later. You definitely want to take a look at who is coming to this career fair. You want to prepare ahead of time, understand what's going on, create a strategy for yourself. The whole list will be in Eagle CareerLink and you can take a look and see who's going to be coming. And then you want to create that priority list because you're just not going to have enough time to talk to all of these companies. You're going to want to create your top 5. Those are the ones you're going to want to get in the queue right away to make sure you can wait for the time and get in line to see them and talk to them. And then you can create sort of your second set, your sub 5, so 7 through 10, and move through that after that. And then you want to research these companies. You want to show up knowing a little bit about each company and understanding how you can come to the table ready to impress. So when we say research the company, what do we mean? This is what we mean. We want you to take a look at their website, of course, where you can get most of this information. What is their mission? What are their values? What are their products and services? Who are their clients? Who are their competitors? Who leads the company? How is it organized? Do they have a big history? Have they been in the news? Check out their press releases. And then really take a look also at their job board. What is currently open that they have posted? And are you qualified for any of it? Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't other jobs that they will be looking for when they show up at the career fair, but you want to have a general idea of what to expect for those companies. If you do this kind of research for your top 5, you'll be very prepared and ready to impress. So again, let's talk a few technical pieces before the career fair. Let's go through and make sure you test your equipment. Do you have all your updates installed? Is your camera working? Does your microphone work? Have you troubleshooted any Wi-Fi connection issues? Is everybody off their devices while you're trying to be on it so you get the best speed that you need? Did you watch the how-to video on how to navigate this software? We're going to watch it here so you'll have a little leg up. And then, is your profile looking good? Did you have that picture up like I just mentioned? Does your resume upload it? Okay, let's continue along the preparation. You definitely want to review the common interview questions. And remember, this is like a mini interview. So it's not just you talking, but it's going to be a nice volley back and forth of question and answers. You want to prepare questions you want to ask them. So that's very important as well. And then you want to keep your notes nearby and take notes during the event and or after, depending on how quickly the conversation goes. But if you can have all of your stuff in front of you, what a better way to be prepared and be able to glance down, especially if you get a little bit nervous. And then, of course, you want to dress to impress because you will be on camera. There's actually no chat feature in this platform, so it's going to be all video, 100%. So you definitely want to pay attention, manage that background, pay attention to what's behind you. Is the lighting good? Is the noise reduced? Does the view look okay? Is it clean? Is it tidy? Does it look like it's appropriate? So really pay attention to that. If you've got pets and you're at home, put them in another room. If they're going to scratch at the door, figure out a place, give them a bone or something, figure out a way to keep them quiet as well. Okay. Eagle Career Link has given us instructions for you to give you best practices. So number 1, Internet Explorer is not supported. So please make sure you're not trying to log on. You'll have problem after problem if you try to get on with Internet Explorer. Then once you get into that actual career fair, you need to click the attend button so that you're like active. So it's almost like clicking active or something along those lines to be able to let you continue along there. And then as long as you are in the queue, which is, remember, a queue is the same word as I'm getting in line. So it's like you're standing in line. You won't be missing any of the employer chats. Okay, so I'm kind of bouncing to point 4 now. You can be in 5 queues at once, which means that you can be basically like in 5 lines with 5 different companies at the same time. So you'll be sitting there and you'll be in 5 queues, and then all of a sudden you'll get this little ping come up and it says, do you want to talk to Enterprise or something like that? And then you can click in yes, and then it moves you to the page where then you click another link, which will probably be their Zoom link, and then all of a sudden the Zoom will come up and you will see the recruiter there. It's a timed event, so you will have approximately less than 5 minutes to be able to talk about all of the things you want to talk about. And then you will end it. You'll have to say that you're ending that on your end. And then you'll be able to go back and take a look at your other companies. And if you haven't been pushed out of any of them, you should then still be in the 4 other queues, still waiting in line. So it's kind of a cool idea because you can be in 5 lines at once. Okay, so make sure that when you're going to join that employer chat, don't feel like you have to download Zoom and go to meeting, all that stuff ahead of time. Just click their link and it'll take you right to it. You definitely want to mark your priority companies by hitting interested. That's another option. There is an option also for a notes field. It's a very private thing, but you can go down and fill out notes for yourself or fill them out next to you. Either way is fine. And then when you log into your Eagle Career Link account before the virtual career fair, make sure that your most updated resume is uploaded into your chat profile because employers will be taking a look at that. All right, I want you to take a look at the video right Okay, so really that just showed you everything that I just told you. So that video is also available. I'll show you at the end on how, where you can find that to watch it over again if you would like. Okay, let's go during the career fair. So now we're in the middle of it and you just saw how you can navigate around, but some other suggestions for you is to make sure you turn notifications off for the rest of your computer, your phone, things like that. I wouldn't recommend attending the career fair on your phone. It's a little difficult. It's kind of a turn off to some employers. If you're trying to hold your phone and it's jiggling and you're trying to do all these other things, it's a little too difficult. So make sure that you're at a computer to really be effective. We talked already about having your resume next to you so you can take a look at your notes and make sure that you're walking through that. Pick your strategy. Some companies will have groups, and those are more for like information sessions. And then some will just have one-on-ones, which will be like the videos like you saw, or some will have both. So you can take a look. When it's highlighted, you'll see that they both have the option. That video showed a group option, but it wasn't highlighted. So they were showing that that company didn't have the group portion as an option. You also heard arrive on time. I think it's really important that if you can get there as soon as you can, because the lines could get a little bit long. I wouldn't get too overwhelmed. You might see some of the lines say, 30-minute wait time. That may or may not be accurate depending on how quickly the people go through and how quickly they connect. So I wouldn't necessarily, sign up for 5 queues and you see 30 minutes for each queue. Don't get frustrated. Just kind of pay attention, look at your notes, prepare your elevator pitch, practice your stuff, and just kind of sit back and wait and see how it moves. It might move quicker. And then we already talked about taking notes. So during the career fair continued, you want to definitely build rapport with those recruiters. And how do you do that? Well, use that elevator pitch. Practice selling yourself. Who are you? And what are you good at? And what are your goals? That's how you build your elevator pitch. We have that information also available on our website. And so I will make sure I show you how to access that. You definitely want to express genuine interest and of course, knowledge. Show that you've done that research. Impress them if you can. You want to communicate your strengths and career goals. That would be important, and why you need to have that resume next to you so that you can glance down and remind yourself from all your notes of what you're really good at, and talk about some of those stories that you're creating around how to express and articulate your best skills. And then it's okay to ask for their contact information. Obviously, you can't really ask them for a business card, but that would be the idea around it. And you want to talk to them about following up. May I follow up with you? When is a good time? How would you like me to follow up? Maybe they want you to phone call them. Maybe they want you to email them. So pay attention to what they would like. And then this is the time to ask about salary or benefits, or what's in it for me. This is really your exploration. This is you selling yourself. That will all come in due time. You can also do a lot of research on salaries to know what is the generalized salary. And to be honest, most of the students graduating from FGCU, if this is a graduation job you're thinking about, they make anywhere between $36,000 and about $42,000 a year. So you're going to be in that range probably for a full-time role. If we're talking about an internship, that's going to vary, but you'll get to that point if it's a good fit. Okay, during the career fair, we're talking about the kinds of questions you want to ask them. So you want to find out what are their hiring needs, what is the key company information, things maybe you couldn't already learn from looking on their website, doing a little research. Again, remember that you're trying to impress them. You want to learn like what is their plan, how do they move people through, and what's the recruiter information and how to follow up like we just talked. I'll show you how to access this document in just a minute. After the career fair. Okay, so this is when you can follow up. The statistic is that 70% of people don't send thank you follow-ups. That just flabbergasts me, but that means if you send a thank you email and follow up within 24 hours, you are in the minority. So what a great way to shine. What a great way to stand out. So make sure that you're doing something along these lines. You can identify yourself, give a lot of the information. Maybe they were in 2 career fairs in 2 days and they don't even know who you are from what, and they talk to a zillion people. So make sure you give as much detail as possible. If you also talked about something interesting in your conversations, try to use that to trigger their memory to think about who you are, and then summarize your qualifications. We have a 2-page career fair success guide that I'm going to show you how to access on our webpage. But this goes through pretty much everything I just talked about. But if you want to review it and take a little bit of closer look in the details, this is going to be available for you. We also have links to 2 really cool articles, how to succeed in job fairs tips, and then virtual career fair questions. So I'm going to show you how to access those 2 great articles as well. Okay, here's where I want to start. This is our web page. So all you have to do is go in the search bar and type career, and career development services will come right up. The first thing you'll see is this main page, and you'll see these 5 buttons in the middle of the page. The one I want you to focus on right now for the resources that we're talking about is this virtual career fairs button. That's going to take you to everything you need right away. But before I show you what's in that button, I want to make sure that you're paying attention to the other things. We also have a YouTube channel, and in that YouTube channel, you can go watch 2 webcasts of interviewing, how to interview. There's an interviewing panel from local employers that gives a lot of great tips. There's also a resume workshop. There is a LinkedIn workshop. There's an advanced LinkedIn workshop. There's a ton of good stuff that if you're kind of feeling a little panicky, like you don't have it all together, that's a great way to start. Also over here in this menu section, I'm circling here on my left, you can pull that down and actually access a whole bunch more of printed documents that we have as well. So let's go through, say we're going to punch into this virtual career fairs button. And here's the stuff right down here that's really important for you. So there's a place for you to go in. You do need to register for this if you haven't already. You'll need to go into Career Link to do that. But right here, all of these 6 bullets are all the things I just told you about. So the best practices, the career fair success strategies handout, the questions you want to ask the employers at the career fair, the video that we just watched, you can watch it again. How to succeed are the 2 articles that I just showed you. So everything your heart desires and more about virtual career fairs is right at your fingertips. Okay. And then here we are at the end, questions. So let me pull out of the sharing so that we can all see each other. And Adam is also here to help us. He has been our technical genius with Eagle Career Link. So if there's other strategies that you want to understand, and Adam, if there was anything that you felt I missed, feel free to jump in.
So I would say the main thing is when you guys do get in the day of the event, make sure to set your status to online. So you'll see in that video, when you watch again, there comes up a section that says offline versus online, and you physically can't access or join a queue if you're showing up as offline. So make sure that as soon as you get on, you do click the online button.
Okay, do we want to run through these questions? So I'm not sure if the event contributes to Eagles in 24, but it will count for SOAR in 4. Those are 2 different programs. So SOAR in 4, it will count. You do need to go in though, and you actually have to attend. You can't just register and then just sort of show up and sit there. You got to go in, attend, and actually engage with employers. So make sure that you're paying attention to that, because that's how we're counting this as what counts. Okay.
And then Raphael and I were actually answering some of those questions during that.
Perfect. That's okay. What you're seeing. Where should we start then? What happens right after the fair starts? Okay. Okay, let's go to Maxim's at 226. During the career fair, when we have a one-to-one meeting with a representative, could we ask a question online on the lines of what is your employee turnover rate? How would you describe your corporate environment? You could. I probably wouldn't ask what is your turnover rate, because it probably is a little bit of a negative, like you're wondering, do people quit a lot? You know, that's kind of what it sounds like. So I would shift the language a little bit to tell me a little bit more about the culture there. Is there a professional growth track? That would be a good way to ask. So then you can find out, like, are people promoted quickly? How quickly are people promoted? Those are the kinds of things that you can kind of get a feel for, you know, what's going on in that corporate environment. Great.
Rose, there's a question right before that about from Jesse.
Okay. Should we mention to the recruiters if we're looking for a job or an internship, and if an internship for either spring or summer? Yes, definitely, Jesse. Be specific about what particularly you want. So if it is a job or an internship, tell them. It's okay to say you want it for next spring. It's okay to even say you want it for next summer, depending on what it is. And some of the companies could potentially be sort of lightly recruiting already for next summer. So that is a possibility. I would definitely be honest with what you're looking for. All right, where are we here? Looks like Ryan has one. Can you get an internship after you graduate? Actually, that's a really good question, Ryan. You can. There are post-grad internships. Some companies do them, some companies don't. Some companies have their internships aligned with some of your curriculum, so they won't let you do it. But other companies, it's actually a wonderful program for them because they can bring you in basically temporarily, test you out. And if they like you, then they hire you and you're ready to go because you don't have any more school. But, and then opposite, if they don't like it, then they let you go. But it's a great way to get your foot in the door and prove yourself because a lot of times it will turn into a job offer. So definitely ask about those opportunities. Okay, Jesse, can we ask how the organization can help us grow in our professional field? Yes, you can ask, say, what are your professional development opportunities at your company? That would be a good way to ask that. And just kind of keep it light. So remember, it's less of what are you going to do for me and more of how can I contribute to your company and learn and grow while I'm there. Okay, how do the group meetings work? Is there multiple applicants within the recruiter? Yes, that will be like joining a Zoom room like this. It'll sort of be a big question answer. It could be they're already talking when you get in, and then they kind of circle back. There might even be multiple recruiters, and they may, depending on how savvy they are, they could have the capability to do sort of little breakout Zoom rooms that you guys have all been involved in before. And so just kind of pay attention to that as well. What else do we have? Can we ask if they support professional growth outside the field to where I was hired? For example, supply chain, but I would also like to work in product development. Meaning, like, I guess I'm confused a little bit, Jesse. And you can unmute yourself. This is a small group, and that's okay if you want to clarify a little bit.
Oh, I meant it like contributing between departments, because I used to have a job at a car dealership where I used to be in sales, but I could also contribute in parts and service. So
Right.
It would be like mutual work between the organization.
Right. I think you can ask that. I think you can ask, like, how do departments collaborate? Do they share workloads? It kind of depends on the job, but you can also say, I have an interest in both areas. You know, they may even have some sort of a developmental rotation program. Sometimes they do, bigger companies do, and you can actually do things with different things like that. So depending on if you're thinking internship, very likely. Jobs, maybe not always, but depending on the company. So definitely do a little digging as well. In their website is what I'm thinking. Do a little digging first. So Raphael just added that some of them may also have presentations scheduled in their group sessions, which is very likely. Maybe they have a little video to watch or something along those lines. Jessica, is there a limit to the amount of recruiters we can talk to? No, as long as you can stand in those lines, those queues, and there's enough time. The career fair is from 11 to 3 p.m. So if you're thinking, I want to talk to a lot of people, I would make sure that you're there right at 11 to get started and get in some of those lines. And then you can just keep talking and talking and talking until the whole thing shuts down. So it's fine.
And Jessica, there could be some employers you may want to talk to more outside of the career fair, and that's why we bring up, get their contact information and follow up with them after, because if there's somebody you could see yourself maybe interning for or working for, definitely follow up with them after, because of the amount of time limits that are in the career fair. We want you to explore and grow that relationship that you do make during the career fair.
Definitely. Remember, you really only have about 5 minutes to talk to them. So that elevator pitch is very important.
Well, we had some great questions. Do we have any more questions that anyone wants to throw out to the team?
Okay, where can we get their information if we are to forget to ask for it during the interview due to time? Yes, Adam.
So when you guys actually conclude, every single employer that you have a chat with, 24 hours after, you will get an email from the virtual career fair of every person that you did talk to, and it will have their contact information. So make sure that when you conclude your conversation, there's a note section, highlight I'm interested, or write yourself a quick note so that way you can follow up. But 24 hours after, you will get a email confirmation with all the different employers that you did engage in a chat with.
And another thing that we actually should have put in the slide is we will have a career development services student help desk. So that if you're in the career fair and you're thinking, I don't understand this, this is not working, or something's not working right, jump into our help desk. Are we calling it help desk, Mary?
Yes, it's the little I. It says help at the top of when you're on the site,
Yes.
on your page.
Hop in there and you'll see one of our staff, and we can always walk you through some things. And even if you just get nervous about talking to an employer, does this sound right? Should I ask this question? You can ask anything you want. We're here for you guys. We're here to support you. So there'll be somebody in that help desk, the little I thing, and you can pop in during the time. You can also call our office too and just ask to be pushed through to one of the career advisors about the career fair.
Got a couple more questions, Rose. We have,
Okay, let's see. Any advice on how to make an impression during the group meetings? That's a good question. I would probably say that it isn't necessarily the situation where you have to like shine, because it's not always going to be a group interview. It's going to be more of a group information session. So I would probably not stress as much about the impression you're making, but as long as you're professional and that you are, not talking over people and all those kinds of things. So that would be more of information gathering, and try to find a way that you can get into the one-on-ones or grab that information so that you can follow up after. Would it be possible to give an example of a good elevator pitch? That's a good one. So I would usually start with the 3 bullets, right? Who are you? What do you do? And what is your goal? So think of it like that. And I hate to have it too structured because I want you to be able to flex within it. So the first one would be, my name is Rose Fuller. I'm a senior in supply chain. And so that would be, who am I, right? So then the second part is, I have really good skills in leadership because I am the president of my marketing association or my supply chain association. And I have done this really great internship this past year with Enterprise, where I've done ... talk about more skills. Right now, I'm looking for a full-time job because I graduate in December, and I would love to start with something in supply chain or product development with your company. That's a very sort of a dry breakout, but that's just as simple and easy as it can be. So think of the things that are the most important for you to sell about yourself. Maybe it's not necessarily that I was the president of my supply chain association, but what that's showing is great leadership skills. Maybe it isn't my part-time job at the restaurant, but it might have been my internship, which is a lot more impressive sounding, and I probably have some really good things to talk about. So when you break down all of your experiences, think about what would you talk about the most in an interview, and those are probably some of the things that will help you decide what are my top selling points about myself. All right, now they're coming in like crazy. Is the maximum time 5 minutes, or is it up to the employer representative? The time limit, each employer has a little clock sitting there and it counts down. Do they see it on their side? I'm trying to remember. Yeah, the student will see it on their side too. I believe that an employer can click a little bit more if they want, but the big but is they will know how many people are standing in line. So if they know that they've got like 10 more people standing in line, it's highly unlikely they won't click that unless you're having some fabulous conversation and they want to keep it going. But I wouldn't bet on it going much more than 5 minutes because they're going to have those lines. Is it true that we should avoid saying or like or other things like that? It makes us uncertain and not confident. Correct, Maxim. We do not want to be saying ums and likes. It's something that sometimes if you're uncomfortable talking or you're nervous, that stuff comes out. So I would recommend just slowing your pace down a little bit, taking some deep breaths, try to smile where you might say or say fill it. If you want other filler words, say that's a really good question. Let me think about that. Or that's a great thing to say, or whatever you want to say. That will help you sort of shift out of yeah, well, so like that kind of a thing, right? You don't want to move through that. All right, Jesse, can we talk about previous jobs even though they are not relevant to your field of study? Absolutely, you can talk about previous jobs and pull out the skills from those jobs. Think about what you learned. So maybe you worked at a restaurant and you were the top, waiter or waitress for 5 years and you got awards, and your customer service skills are top notch or your communication skills are top notch. Those are the kinds of things you pull from those things. So you want to highlight the actual skills and give examples about them if you can, if there's some great cool story that you want to talk about. So for sure. And Jesse, yes, say yes instead of yeah, you're correct. Thank you for that. You're welcome, Kaylee and Maxim. Any other questions? Did I miss anything? Okay.
No, those are great questions. I was going to mention real quickly, Rosa, you do have a YouTube video on interviewing skills, and I believe you talk about the elevator pitch in there, and you have some examples.
Yes.
So that would be a good resource.
Yes. Maxim has one last question. If we don't have any substantial work experience, could we replace that with skills we learned in voluntary and service learning? Absolutely. We love that. And employers love it too. So definitely. And even in some really interesting school experience as well, maybe you had some project work or research kinds of experiences at school. If it's something that you can dive in deep and talk a lot about in terms of pulling out those skills again and talking about how that makes you unique and or what you learned from that and how you've grown, those are great opportunities to talk about as well. What should you talk about if they ask us about their weaknesses? Okay, we're getting into interviewing here. This is a good question, and it's definitely a trick question, right? So that's okay, Jesse. It's a way to see how insightful you are about yourself, but I also kind of feel like it's a very unfair question personally. I don't like the fact that, you have to air your dirty laundry to somebody you don't even know yet. And like you're supposed to, why do you feel obligated to just throw up your most vulnerable piece of yourself? So I'm not necessarily a big proponent of disclosing the personal character flaw, like my time management's really bad. So what I do is I set 3 alarms every morning and or whatever. Because as a manager, I'm thinking, that's not great. I'm not excited about that. And I'm not sure you solved your problem about time management. Those are the kinds of things as a hiring manager I really don't want to hear, to be honest. So I would take it back around and talk about the things that maybe are more concrete, that don't have to do with you personally. So maybe it's a software thing. Maybe you're trying to learn a new software and you don't know it yet, and maybe the job calls for it, but maybe you've taken some online courses by yourself just to try to learn those. Maybe you don't have any experience yet in an office setting or a corporate setting, and maybe all of your experience was in a restaurant or in some other kinds of a work situation. And so maybe that's sort of the elephant in the room, that like I've actually never had sort of a 9-to-5 cubed kind of a job, but you want to talk about then how you're prepared or you're correcting this or whatever you're trying to do, is a great way to sort of move through that question. Something trainable but not critical. Yes, Rob, exactly. Perhaps you could say how you addressed and solved a weakness you had in the past and how you can. It depends. It's really a personal thing. If you don't feel comfortable giving them your deep, dark secrets or your flaws, then don't do it. I do what Mary just said, though. I really strongly encourage you to watch the interviewing webinar that we did this past summer, because it actually goes through all of these basic questions and tells you how to answer them. And it's me again. Okay, any last questions about the virtual career fair? Okay, you guys, I'm glad you showed up. You're the lucky ones. You're the smart ones too.
I actually have one more question.
Jesse, go for it.
Sorry, I couldn't type fast enough.
Don't say sorry. Go ahead.
What was to happen if we are in obviously in the website and we are in the queue for 3 different employers, and even during one of the meetings, our internet just like goes down and we get disconnected?
Yeah.
We would just try to go back online and try to do the queue again and talk to them and just tell them, you know, something happened on my end, and start over.
So that would essentially be the process, and why we really recommend testing your internet, making sure you can see if you're in a good connection area, disconnect from your phone, Wi-Fi as much, whatever you can to make sure that your signal is as strong as possible. Employers know things come up. Just really making sure that you're taking as many precautions as possible. If you get disconnected and you lose your service, it will put you offline automatically. So just make sure you can reconnect, sign back in, and then get back into it. That's why we're doing the virtual career fair from 11 to 3 rather than just 11 to noon.
And you
you.
will, if that does happen, you will be at the end of the warrant again. Just
Yes.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the
Thank you.
employer, depending on how many people are in line, they may not even notice if you're a little bit farther down.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of good questions today. All right.
All right, good luck, you guys. And feel free to make an appointment with our office if you need to before then through appointment manager.
All right.
Great. Take care, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Good luck next week.